Thank you for listening to the Dog Trainers Podcast, a podcast created by dog trainers for dog trainers, or anyone who's ever fallen in love with man's best friend.
Episode 36, Trainers to the Rescue, featuring Bobby Dorafshar. Here's a question, Bobby.
Shoot.
With that being, what it was, it just because I kind of get what you mean, where people are just so overwhelmed that you're having to walk backwards just to make sure that they're okay before you start the job.
True.
But naturally, how do you prepare somebody for something like this? So I guess my question to you is, having been there, how how do you prepare somebody for this kind of thing?
Oh, one more time. Can you say the question one more time?
Yeah, sure. So how do you even begin to prepare these volunteers, these people for that kind of work?
Not easy. I wish I had an answer for you because first day when I got there, me and Cash, my first rescue, which it was very emotional. We did this rescue, and while we're doing this rescue, we hear a gunfire.
Hmm.
And three houses up, there were four dogs, and this guy just shot one of them right on the chest. Okay. And I'm pulling this dog, which is a mastiff, but probably weighs 20 pounds. You can see every bone on his body.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very emotional because what happened, we go to this house and we knocked and we open the door and we go in and we calling for anything there so we can hear some sound or anything and nothing. We walking out and we hear this little tap and it stops.
Hmm.
So we follow the tap. We noticed the fridge was moved in front of a door. So we don't see the door because the water moved it. We
Mm-hmm.
move the fridge and we hear this. And when we open the door, this dog pretty much dead, laying down, but his tail was hitting the door.
His tail was wagging.
So I'm
Oh,
crying.
God.
I'm crying, broke a crate in half, bring him over, pick him up, put him in the crate, carry him out, start giving little bit of a water
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
little bit of a peanut butter. I mean, I'm talking about seriously a gram of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment they start licking it, we all excited. All of a sudden, I'm looking at my buddy, which is what, 20 years younger than me, and he's fit, Cash.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Cash, I'm dying. I'm exhausted. I cannot stand. And he goes, I'm the same way. So we sat on the ground, which is mud and it smells, for 15 minutes. Then we look at the dog who's been shot. So I challenge the guy, and he goes, I'm a police officer. Dog almost attacked me. I go, you could get in your car.
Mm-hmm.
You're right across the street. So it took us 2.5 hours to catch those dogs. And we end up to bring him in and euthanizing them because it was pretty bad. But you really can't because remember, I'm a very tough guy, but at the same time, I look at the commercial of Hallmark and I'm crying.
Yeah.
So it is not as easy. The key is how strong you are inside to be able to shoot for your goal. And a lot of people, they are so emotional they cannot look at their goal.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we experienced that a lot with so many volunteers. So we told them, why don't you guys stay in and start sending pictures to Los Angeles, start doing contact, communicating with Los Angeles, stay in the RV. We have a mobile hospital. We have, so it's just how you're going to use them. There is no way you will know what you get out of them.
Yeah.
No way.
I think in any emergency situation or profession, I think just being on the front lines, you have to have.
But also remember one thing.
Yeah.
Every time there is a disaster, we all get united.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care if you like your neighbor or not, you go help him out.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and when you go to that situation, that disaster make you to team up. And I told Brent through the whole process, it's important you build a team. It's important to get people involved because one person cannot do it all.
Right.
But at the same time, I want everybody to know, if I can help to change 9% drop in euthanasia for the city of Los Angeles, so as anybody else can do it.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
They
Yeah.
just want to do it.
there's
They
that
just
whole thing, that people, I think, have yet to learn. A lot of younger people have yet to learn that there are things that you affect directly, and then there are things that you affect indirectly, and the indirect is just as important, maybe even more important than the direct, right?
Yeah.
Like there
I
was the
think leading
whole
by example is an indirect effect. And I think,
right.
you know,
Well, exactly because of the whole like Tupac thing, right? Like I may not change the world, but I guarantee you I'll spark the mind of the person who does, right? And
yeah,
so
exactly.
and I think that the skill set that Bobby's kind of, describing that he was like working with, even if you weren't aware of it at the time, was, you know, when people don't know how they're going to react under stress, you just have to know how to delegate them so that they stay productive. Because if you can't deal with as much stress as the next guy, well, that's fine. I'm just going to put you in a situation that's less stressful. I still need your help, but I'm going to try to find a position for you because no one person can do it alone. You're absolutely right. And I think that it's also interesting, and I agree with you. It sounds bad. I don't know if this sounds bad or just sounds weird, but I know you know what I'm saying, Bobby, is that
No, I do.
wh- that 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 when you're in a situation like that, where just it's all bleak. I remember Katrina too, because my grandma lived in Louisiana, and we had to come get her to live with us.
Hmm.
Um, my stepdad's from Louisiana, and his mom, and so it's so the situation looks so bland. Like you said, there's no sound, there's no nothing. It's not even sad. It's just nothing, and it's so weird. And it has this weird way of like muting all the bullshit in your life, and then you're just kind of operating on very basic, like, all right, if I can help, I'm gonna help. There's not really
Yeah.
any nonsense if I don't like this guy or not. It's just like, okay, if you need food, I have some here. And in that way, it is kind of nice, how simple things can be.
Yeah.
Yep. Correct.
It's amazing. One thing, uh, one thing that's always kind of struck me again, and I said this early in, is the ability for you to follow your passion and the ability for every accomplishment. Because I mean, you weren't always a dog trainer, right? You did other things prior to make money. When did your life really change? Like when can you say that you said, hey, I found my passion, or like
I
when did
was
your life?
30 years old.
Okay.
Okay. And I was very successful as working for this huge company.
Mm-hmm.
We had over 300 vendors.
Mm-hmm.
I was in charge of their promotion and sales.
Mm-hmm.
And I helped all these people, which everybody was a family running the business under. We developed the company I work with developed the first indoor swap meet in Los
Mm.
Angeles.
Cool.
Okay. So this is 300,000 square foot of a building. It's
Mm-hmm.
huge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it was perfect for me because I could walk through it all day and not get tired of it.
Mm.
Hmm.
And I helped because everybody, they had a job, but they worked there for the weekend to sell something, to make a living, and just have it. So I helped them all the time. A situation came up after helping these people for over 2 years. I realized every single one of them, when they get an opportunity, want to stab me in the back.
Mm.
And that situation happened, which is a long story.
Right.
Okay. I went home that weekend after the whole weekend because it was a 3 days I was there myself. And I said, I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm.
I'm tired of it.
Mm.
Company give me a car, company give me a secretary, company give me a good amount of money. I'm spending money. I do whatever I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I just lost that passion for it,
Mm-hmm.
of passion of helping everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And within a week, I resigned
Mm. Mm.
and I went to training dogs.
Mm. So you were tired of being burned and
I
backstabbed.
just, I rather people tell me in front of me how they feel about me, rather talk
Mm-hmm.
behind my back.
Yeah.
The person comes and hugs me and tell me how much they love me, and the first step they try to stab me on the back. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want that energy in my life. I don't want
Right.
that person in my life.
Right.
So as you know, I go with my energy. As you know, through working with me, you see how important was the energy of everybody at work.
Right.
Everybody should smile. Everybody should be positive.
Right.
If you're not feeling right, don't come to work. Right.
Yeah.
So, and all of a sudden, I realize this is not work. This is fun.
Mhm.
So I can work from 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night and not be tired.
Yeah.
Okay. And that passion made me to educate myself. When you working as a trainer, my focus always been to all of our trainers. Okay. You need to learn every method of training.
Mhm.
And I had reasons for it.
Mhm.
Okay. Because if you don't have every training method, just like a teacher with the kids, you cannot deal with kids all at the same level.
Right.
They're very different.
Yeah.
And it is very important, all the training level to be able to be successful, because the way I look at it, and unfortunately, in past I deal with a lot of trainers which they didn't have a knowledge, and
One
they
dimensional.
and they
Yeah.
want to, exactly, and they just want to make money on it. And don't know how many people they hire me and says, I work with 3 trainers, they said this dog is not adoptable, and in 10 minutes I show them the dog is adoptable
Mm.
or the dog is trainable. 10
Mhm.
minutes.
Mhm.
And that's how I make my money.
Yeah.
Because if one method didn't work, I come up with a method by reading the dog and dealing with what the dog will accept
Yeah. Yeah.
and how I can get the most out of that dog.
Right.
My point was, if that person wouldn't call me, it will actually take a dog to shelter and go, my trainer said
Mhm.
this dog is not trainable
Right.
or this dog is not a good dog.
Right.
What's that mean? That means let's kill the dog. So my question is,
Mm.
if you have a dog and you think they're not trainable, just shoot them. Why you want to take them to the shelter?
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
you deal with it yourself, or find the solution for that problem by
Mhm.
finding the right trainer. So my recommendation always to all the trainer is been, it's not one method of a training.
Mhm.
Especially I work with a lot of rescue.
Mhm.
Oh my God, if they see a pinch collar.
Mhm.
Oh my God, some of these rescue, if they see a choke chain.
Yeah.
Oh no, shoulder harnessed only. So I have a Rottweiler, want to kill anybody come close to it, and the person is 95 pounds and cannot control the dog, and they want him on the shoulder harness, but they want the dog to be friendly.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean,
Silly.
come on.
Silly. Yeah.
Okay. So job of a trainer is not only educate them, also bring them to a point to find out. And one of the example I always give to these rescue or the clients was, you have a child has a tumor, but it doesn't like needles. Would you take them to the surgeon to remove the tumor so they can survive and they be alive? Or are you going to focus on, oh, they have to give them an injection IV to put them down?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so let's try it. So I let them put the pinch collar on their arm. I let them understand how the choke chain
Yep.
works. I talk to them, double lead them. So there
Mhm.
is a harness and a pinch collar or choke chain.
Mhm.
I come up with the solution. So the fact is, if you don't have all the knowledge you need
Mhm.
from the behavioral part of it, from different training method,
Mhm.
then you're not going to be successful.
Right.
You are at least be strong enough. If you don't have the knowledge, recommend to see another professional,
Right.
because if you don't, you kill that dog
Yeah. And this
for
is,
$100.
yeah, this is something we talk about all the time on the podcast, Bobby. So I'm glad you brought it up, because those of you guys who are, who consider yourselves a balanced dog trainer, this fight has been happening since the late 80s, early 90s. Like this fight and the discussion, and there's a handful of people who've been doing it long enough where they understand this philosophy, and these were the stepping stones that later would become balanced dog training as a concept, in the modern day, right? These ideas, as Bobby's talking about, being able to have different approaches to help different types of dogs, being able to be multidisciplined or all these things that we are priding ourselves on now. These are the people who laid down the mindset for this type of stuff. So it's very cool.
Well, when I was working in Shitson, it was a very popular T-shirt everybody was wearing, and it says on it, "The only thing trainers they have in common
Mhm.
is how wrong the other one is."
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
That's
so
still true
you
today.
Yep.
seriously,
Yep.
so you have a trainer work with the killer method. Then you
Uh-huh.
have another one which you work with treats, or they call it positive
Reinforcement.
reinforcement, or how they want to look at it. And they both are important.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, the key is, can you handle, educate yourself to do A, B, C, D, E, all the way to Z, because you are going to need it with the same dog on a certain situation.
Mhm.
One of the method is going to be way more effective than the others.
Right.
Here's a
Okay.
struggle that I've had personally lately with a lot of rescue people that I work with. And I think that you're right when you say they mean well. Obviously, these people are volunteering their own time and their own resources and things like that. But a lot of times it's like I have to explain to them as a trainer why a dog might be better with a prong collar or like an e-collar or whatever the case. And they let their like bleeding heart get in the way of what would be good for the dog because they feel bad, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
And so
Well, also as a rescuers, because I've been a rescuer more than I've been, as long as I've been a trainer, I would say,
mhm,
maybe longer based of my young age. Um, Also remember one thing: supporters. You have a lot of supporters, sponsors, which they give money.
mhm,
Those are the people you don't see in front. Okay, those are the one that write the check, and some of them they write a good amount of a check.
mhm,
And these people, if they see the rescuer using a choke chain or pinch collar, they will stop paying them,
mm,
and you don't have any access to that individual. I remember there is no name. There was a donor which he gives good amount of money, very, very rich, very passionate individual, but he will not give money to the organization if the people running the organization they were not vegan.
hmm.
Okay, but being vegan doesn't mean you're a better rescuer.
Right, right. Has nothing to do
Okay,
with it.
but they look at it, animals getting killed for you to be fed. So if you have that mentality, you shouldn't be a rescuer. Okay, so there are so many different parts come to it, because we really cannot change everybody, and everybody got mind of their own, and
Right.
everybody got their own way of thinking. So a lot of times rescue organization is their passion. They worry what they heard, because and I saw that myself, because a trainer was very, very aggressive with the choke chain.
Yeah.
I
Mm,
had to stop a trainer in a dog park, and that person didn't like me
Right.
mhm,
because
mhm,
is actually hanging a 4 months old puppy chow on the air with a choke chain.
Yep.
Okay, so those are developed such a huge impact on people's mind about choke chain, about pinch collar, and so you have to understand them as a rescue, which they're very passionate. But
mhm.
also, again, part of education is the most important part of a trainer.
Right.
I think that right there is probably the single biggest reason that Brent and I decided to start this podcast. It's been what, like 8 months now?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And because me and Brent, I moved, it's almost been 2 years, but we never lost touch. So we would talk all the time anyway.
Yeah.
And then
Sorry
one
for
day yeah.
no,
And no,
God.
no, I mean, no, honestly,
yeah,
like,
I hear you.
but Brent and well, I'm sure you know, Bob, because, you were there when me and Brent first met, so, I mean, Brent has become like a big brother to me, so it's hard to even put
And
into
Bobby's
words.
like a big brother to me. So
Oh,
it's
I
like
thought
Yeah,
you were a big brother.
a
I
little
thought you're a big
family.
brother.
I'm your big brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, but my point is we started this podcast, for like a few reasons, but the biggest one was just why do so many damn dog trainers in today's world with YouTube and everything else, why do you still not know? And why are you still doing things wrong? And why and sometimes the consequence is huge because like you said, even these years, I meet dogs all the time that were quote unquote untrainable,
Yeah.
and like and these people were like, "I worked with this, person, that person," and I'm like, "Who the hell are these dog trainers that are letting these dogs slip through the cracks that shouldn't be?" And so we felt like it's important to make sure that we do what we can to help people understand it's your job, it's your obligation as a professional to learn everything about it that you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
100%.
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you.